Welcome back, geographers. How is Canada's physical geography similar to and different from that of the United States? Canada's physical landscape. Canada is a very large country with an area of 3.86 million square miles, 10 million square kilometers. However, it also has a low population. Most people live in the southern part of the country. Canada is divided into 10 smaller units, or parts, called provinces. A province is an administrative unit similar to a state. Administrative means managed or governed. Each province has its own government. Canada also has 3 territories. Territories are lands administered by the national government. Canada is divided into 5 regions. Atlantic provinces, Quebec and Ontario. Prairie provinces, British Columbia. Northern lands. The Atlantic provinces include Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. They border the Atlantic Ocean. Newfoundland and Labrador are covered in highlands. The other Atlantic provinces have lowlands and plateaus. Most of this area has a humid continental climate. Winters are cold, summers are warm, and rainfall is high. Quebec and Ontario start in the south at the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes and extend into northern Canada. The southern area of this region is a lowland plain. It has a humid continental climate with a lot of rainfall and mild temperatures. This gives it a long growing season. In the north, there is a large plateau called the Canadian Shield. A shield is a large area of flat land with ancient, hard rock. The climate is subarctic. It has long, cold winters and mild summers. Forests cover much of the northern area. These forests include 2 types of trees, coniferous and deciduous. Coniferous trees are evergreens, which do not lose their leaves. They have cones that hold seeds. They also have needles instead of leaves. Deciduous trees lose their leaves in the fall. The prairie provinces include Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. This land is covered by plains, which rise higher in Alberta than in Manitoba. This means the region is tilted from west to east. The northeastern and western areas of this region have highlands. In Manitoba, the highlands are part of the Canadian Shield. In Alberta, they are part of the Canadian Rockies. Cold Arctic air from the north blows across this region. Winters are cold. The average temperature in January is -1 degree Fahrenheit, -18 degrees Celsius. Summers are much warmer. The average temperature in July is 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 19 degrees Celsius. Precipitation in this area is low. British Columbia has the Rocky Mountains on its eastern side and the Coast Mountains on its western side. In between sits a deep valley and plateaus. The Canadian Rocky Mountains have 30 mountains that are over 10,000 feet, 3,048 meters, high. The Coast Mountains rise as high as 15,000 feet, 4,572 meters. British Columbia has a marine west coast climate. Warm air blows west from the ocean. This means temperatures are mild. Rainfall is heavy in some areas. The northern lands include Nunavut, Northwest Territories, and Yukon Territory. They all lie in northern Canada next to the Arctic Ocean. A group of islands, called an archipelago, sits in the Arctic Ocean. It has about 1,000 islands. Some islands are tiny, and some are very large. For instance, Baffin Island is larger than the state of California. The center of this region is covered by lowland plains. The Canadian Shield is in the eastern side of the region. It continues north onto the islands north of Hudson Bay. The western side of the far north has high mountains. One of them is Mount Logan. At 19,524 feet, 5,951 meters, it is Canada's highest mountain. Much of the far north has a subarctic climate. This means it has cold winters and mild summers. The areas farthest north have a tundra climate. A tundra is a flat, treeless plain with permanently frozen ground. Bodies of water. 3 oceans border Canada. They are the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Arctic. They affect climate in different ways. The Atlantic brings moderate temperatures in eastern Canada. The Pacific brings rain and mild temperatures to western Canada. The Arctic brings chills northern and central Canada. The Atlantic and Pacific Oceans are important to Canada. One reason is because ships use them to bring goods to and from Canada. Shipping is a major part of Canada's economy. Another reason that these oceans are important to Canada is that they both have fisheries. A fishery is an area where fish come to feed in huge numbers. These fisheries are used by people from all over the world. However, taking too many fish from these areas has severely hurt the fish population in recent years. The Gulf of St. Lawrence is another important body of water. It connects to the Atlantic Ocean. Ships use it to travel into Canada's interior. But without the St. Lawrence Seaway, they couldn't get all the way to Western Lake Superior. The St. Lawrence Seaway is a system of canals and locks that raises and lowers ships from one height to another. It was built in the 1950s by the United States and Canada working together. Canada shares 4 of the 5 Great Lakes with the United States. It does not share Lake Michigan. 3 other major lakes are found in lowland areas west of the Canadian Shield. They are Great Slave Lake and Great Bear Lake in the Northwest Territories, and Lake Winnipeg in Manitoba. Another important river is the Mackenzie River. With its tributaries, it flows through much of the far north. It starts at the Great Slave Lake and empties into the Arctic Ocean.